Bro, look a girl in the eyes and you tell her you're gonna cheat on her. She loves it.
Do you think if I was on steroids, I would have these appendages down here, these legs?
Why don't you just commit to one?
I'm just not wired that way. I think you're annoying.
For you to think everything falls into a binary yes or no, you're just a So shut the up. But anyway.
Of course, I do not think improving oneself is inherently bad, but to say that the self-help movement as an ideology hasn't been toxic and indeed vastly fueled by the insecurity and complexes of young men and women, especially the former, would be to miss the point entirely. Self-help itself became quickly commodified by the invisible hand of hyper-consumerism, but I wonder if it was always like that. I think we are entering now a time when a lot of disillusioned people, and rightly so, are becoming increasingly wary and skeptical of the self-proclaimed internet gurus who wish to let you know how to get a six-pack in 30 days, get all the girls you want, and start your own business in dropshipping, but not before you join their online course. I think there's something telling in how the self-help movement reduced what is a multifaceted struggle of a lifetime with its tragedies, victories, luck, and ambivalence into a bullet point formula on how to extract, for instance, the very thing that made Steve Jobs, or Benjamin Franklin the man that he was, without, of course, the very quirks and flaws that make them uniquely human. It takes the abstracted kernels of productivity, drive, and lifestyle and presents them to us in their sanitized objectivity, appealing to some kind of universality for greatness and maximized self-actualization. I don't care who you are, you will wake up at 4 a.m., have a cold shower, drink your protein milkshake, and do 100 push-ups. You get the drift. Now, I am not ignorant to the fact that the self-help movement is more nuanced than this. There, of course, exist offshoots and niche subgroups in every belief or ideology, but based on ubiquity and widespread attention, it is generally the kind of crudely presented above that would often fill the screens of young men wishing to overcompensate for their feelings of worthlessness. I certainly have been there myself. One can tackle this issue from two different angles. One, why did self-help take on the form it did? Or why did it gain such a cult following, which is more telling of the society and environment which made it so rather than the actual movement itself? To answer both questions comprehensively would be for another video, perhaps at a different time. Here I will focus predominantly on the first. It all goes back to a book written in the mid-19th century by a Scottish author, Samuel Smiles. The title itself could not have been more fitting, which, and I am not kidding, is literally self-help. In the book, Smiles used examples from history of hundreds of great men who have achieved great things in a variety of fields despite unfavorable circumstances. It focuses not on their achievements, which are self-evident, but on their attitude, upbringing, and hard work, which brought them there. I think to see how far self-help nowadays has gone astray from its origin requires one to only read this passage in the preface to Smiles' book. He writes, quote, "Failure in any good cause is, however, honorable, whilst success in any bad cause is merely infamous. At the same time, success in the good cause is unquestionably better than failure, but it is not the result in any case that is to be regarded so much as the aim and the effort, the patience, the courage, and the endeavor with which desirable and worthy objects are pursued." End quote. It seems particularly hard to find such sentiments today, where it is of course the end result which is commodified and glorified, rather than the honor of being an industrious, moral, and determined individual working for the good of civilization as a whole. It seems we have all become so cynical we would cringe at such platitudes today, and can easily imagine someone in the throes of such a toxic mentality arguing that success is only useful to get rich, women, and whatever else you want. It's why people want success in the first place. If you waste your time on such things like honor, you will simply get trampled by the one who doesn't. It is this kind of dog-eats-dog rat race mentality which predominantly fuels the toxic corners of the self-help world, which are not as niche as one would perhaps think. It is obvious that Smiles wouldn't agree with the vulgar and narcissistic offshoot of what was once an idealist movement of self-actualization, but has now degenerated into a sort of crude, disillusioned cynicism that at once grabs the inflamed hearts of many troubled youths. I think that it is precisely in its fallacious reductionism and vulgarity that the industry of self-help thrives today in our consumerist capitalist era. It is self-evidently not such sentiments as patience or wisdom of failure that will have as many people as possible sign up for your online course. It is by hammering down on the wrongdoings of the modern world, your own personal shortcomings, and the little time you have before it is all lost forever that will inevitably fill the pockets of those profiting on what is clearly an epidemic of worthlessness and purposelessness severely affecting young people today and many others for that matter. I cannot help but draw correlations between what self-help is at its worst, as prevalent in what's known as the manosphere online, and the kind of treatment imposed by a tyrant. Almost all of these self-help gurus have built a strong cult following, literally developing a cult of personality, not in its essence different from that of dictators of the past. In other words, everything they say is true simply because they have said it, and we all want to be less like ourselves and more like them. I also cannot help but think of the Luke chapter 14 verse 26 from the New Testament, where God literally commands us to hate our own father, mother, siblings, etc., so that we can be unilaterally loyal to Him only. Because of this, I am almost on the brink of thinking that self-help at its absolute worst is a kind of doctrine, not far from orthodox religion. It is no surprise that many of these gurus use religion, in fact, obviously in bad faith, as an instrument to increase their appeal. Self-help today has, unfortunately, become what I can best call a populist doctrine, a kind of formula that's meant to appeal to as many people as possible, which is best done, as always, by stirring the insecurities of all and dividing people against themselves based on their looks, achievements, lifestyles, or political opinions. It is not for nothing that the subtitle of Smiles' book was "With Illustrations of Conduct and Perseverance," where before it was an honorable and holistic endeavor worth no less than an entire lifetime, it is now commodified into short, crude tenets repeated to us as if by an Orwellian loudspeaker, written in such naive simplification as the governing rules painted on the barn of Animal Farm. It is certainly not something the Stoics or Samuel Smiles would have been very happy to see, and it is perhaps for the best that it is finally time to turn with curiosity and patience to the wisdom of the past.